Bhagavat, the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all of his associates, Kanda Part 2, and this is chapter 7, and the Nityananda Prabhu has gone to one place called Tota Gopinath. There's a deity there, Lord Gopinath and Radharani and Lalita Sita. And that temple is situated on top of a hill, like Govardhan Hill. It represents Govardhan Hill and Jagannath Puri. And there are very beautiful trees everywhere around. Always a breeze is blowing off the ocean. The Bay of Bengal and Jagannath Puri. So Gadadhar invited Nityananda to take prasadam, take lunch prasadam there. And Nityananda had brought some wonderful rice from Bengal for the service of the Thakurji Seva, Bhat Seva, Chaval Seva. Nityananda Gadadhara Bhikshara Karane, Ekman Chola, Anina Chena Jatane. Ati Shukshma Shukla Deva Yogya Sarvamate, Gopinatha Lagi Ani Nache Godahaite. As I said, Nityananda brought this very fine white rice, fit to be offered to Gopinath from Bengal. Very interesting point. We hear that even the Lord takes trouble to serve the Lord. Nityananda is a form of Balaram in Gaur Leela 500 years ago. Krishna's brother Dauji, Balaram, Baladev, he appeared as a Brahmin, not as a Vaishya or a coward boy, coward man. He appeared as a Brahmin and is the son of Hadai Pandit. And he's not thinking, I'm a Brahmin, why should I do physical labor? Physical labor is the work of the Shudra, the labor of the Shudra. I'm a Brahmin, and my father's a Pandit. His name is Hadai Pandit. But he didn't have any type of false ego or misconception about his true identity. Because he understood being a living entity and being part and parcel of God like we all are, although he's God himself. He understood that das, anodas. I am meant to serve Krishna. He's an expansion of Krishna, Nityananda, Balaram, first expansion, Sandini Shakti. But even he's in the mood. There's Purusha Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and everything else, and everyone else expanded from Swami Bhagavan Sri Krishna, has expanded and has been created and manifested for the purpose of serving the center. The center is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So unlimited expansions of Purusha, unlimited expansions of Prakriti, Shakti and Shaktiman, Purusha and Prakriti, Shiv and Parvati, Sita and Ram, Lakshmi Narayan, so Nityananda and Balaram, all the Anantashesh. There's one, Eko Bahu Shyam. It's actually Syam. From one comes many. So he's saying, oh, I'm going to see Gopinath, and he's in the mood of a devotee. He's in the bhav, bhakta bhav. And he says, what can I bring to offer to the deity? I'm coming from Bengal, and Bengal is famous for wonderful rice, as you know. They grow very wonderful rice there, especially in North Bengal. Rice is some of the best rice in all of India. Of course, it doesn't come much here. It's mostly exported to England and other places, because there's a port there, Calcutta. Generally, Indians eat rice from Punjab or, I don't know, where's it come from? Punjab.
Dehradun is good for rice.
Dehradun, Punjab. Yeah, Dehradun is famous. That's UP. Dehradun.
Uttaranchal now.
Uttaranchal and Punjab, these are, and Himachal, I suppose. These type of rice growing. But Bengali rice is very, very good. Many varieties. In North Bengal, they have a purple rice. Very nice rice, and they have it also in Manipur. And they use it specifically to make sweet rice. And when they cook it, it comes out lilac or purple color. And when it's cooking, when the rice is cooking in sweet rice, it smells like flowers. I've smelled it. And I thought there was some flowers or some ittar or some special agarbatti in the kitchen. I went there and said, what is this flowered fragrance coming from the pots? Oh, I'm making sweet rice for Gopal. I said, what is this rice? And he showed it. It's a purple rice. Fantastic flavor, aroma, and taste. Sometimes people would come from Manipur and bring me some, but I'm not such a good cook. but I would try to make it purple sea rice. A few times. So he bought this, he was invited for lunch and he bought the saman himself. Gadadhar invited him. Gadadhar is he's also a Brahmin, Pandit and Pujari, Sevite for Gopinath Thakurji. And he invited him, Nityananda. And he didn't come empty-handed. It's told in Shastras we should not go to see God or the spiritual master with empty hands. We should offer something, whether it's a piece of gajar, a carrot, or a handful of chickpeas, or a whole bag of 40 kilos of rice, in this case, about 40 kilos of rice. So that means that he carried it from Bengal. Doesn't say he offered it, means it says he carefully brought it. Bhiksha karane. He collected it in begging. He collected it and offered it to Gadadhar. And it takes 1 month to walk from Bengal to Jagannath Puri. In those days there's no train, 500 years ago. So you can imagine carrying 40 kilos of rice every day for 1 month. It's not easy. But that's the power of devotion and the power of surrender and the power of the desire to please the beloved. They say that one can do anything for the beloved. How much labor and how much difficulty a mother undergoes for the loving service of her child. Carrying him in her womb for so many months, and carrying him on her hip and on her shoulder, or nowadays in some rucksack. They put some kid in some rucksack in the back, or even they have a front pack, baby pack, whatever they call it. And they carry this child around, he weighs something. They don't complain, they may go all here and there, even hiking. I've seen in the mountains, a husband and wife are in America, they're hiking about 10, 20 kilometers and carrying Junior around their shoulder. This is love. Harai kani vastra rangima sundara dui ani dila garadhara gochara. Along with rice, he also bought beautifully colored cloth. Rangima. Ranga means color. Vastra, you know, it's the same as Hindi. Vastra rangima sundara. Beautifully colored cloth. Because Krishna he dresses like a dramatic actor on the stage. When actors or actresses, nayak and nayaka, they come on the movie screen or they come on the stage. In the old days, the analogy says stage because there wasn't movies in Krishna's time, but there were drama performances in Krishna's time, and theater and actors and all these things, jugglers and magicians and all kinds of performers would come and perform on the stage in Nanda Baba's house in Nandagam, Krishna's palatial palace of his father, Nanda Bhavan. He has an entire theater, a royal theater, where there's so much drama productions go on there. Dance, Bharatanatyam dance, all these things go on. He's a king. A king means he has lots of money and wealth, and he uses his money to finance and support the craftsmen and artisans in his kingdom, or even ones that may be traveling through. What we call traveling minstrels. Folk artists and traveling minstrels will come, and they say, oh, I like to do a magic show for your children. All right, tonight we'll have a magic show. And then someone else will come and say, we want to do juggling and acrobats. We have a whole team here. Ringling Brothers Circus, or the Flying Burrito Brothers. When I was a child, there was a group called the Flying Burrito Brothers. And they were a group of 4 or 5 brothers from, of course, Mexico. And they were Spanish. They're very good in gymnastics. You know, gymnastics, back springs and cartwheel flips and all these kind of special, walking on your hands, you know, like top, 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 top. And one guy's walking on his hand and he spreads his leg, and the other guy dives through and tumbles, and they jump up, and then he makes a pyramid, and he jumps over him like leapfrog, and many things like this. Flying Burrito Brothers. So they came to our high school and performed, and everyone had a good time. So such acrobats and gymnasts, they call gymnasts, they would come to Nanda Baba to entertain Krishna, Balaram, Sriram, and all the gopas. As children love to play and they love to see these things. So he bought beautifully colored cloth for Gopinath because Krishna doesn't wear chini bori. He doesn't wear like some sadhus do. They wear chini bori. He doesn't wear a muslin cloth or some jute. Just they take some old chini bori and potato, it's jute sacks, and they cut it up and they make shirt or vest or dhoti or whatever they, like lungi, whatever they want to wear. It's not too much sense gratification there, but it covers the body and it serves the purpose of that covering. But Krishna doesn't dress like that. He wears vastarangi masundara, always very colorful, beautiful cloth. So look at the offering. Nityananda bought some beautiful cloth and some food. So there's nothing more important in this world. What are the two most important things in this world? Dressing up fancy and eating. Dressing up, wearing attractive, wonderful clothes and ornaments, especially for women. They like this too much. Decorating their body, that's their speciality, to look beautiful. And everyone, men and women alike, they too much like to eat. Hundreds of restaurants, all kinds of various cuisines. So this is a perfect thing to offer to God because He's the supreme enjoyer. Bhoktaram Yagatapasam, Sarvalokamaheshwara. He's the Bhoktaram. And so he enjoys fine food. You've heard of Chapan Bhog, Thakurji's Chapan Bhog. He eats 56 preparations every single day. In Jagannath Puri, Jagannath is Chaka Chak Bhog, 56 Chapan Bhog every day, Rose, Suve Dupayar Sham, at Ratko. Eating 7 times a day, 8 times a day is a voracious appetite. But his appetite is not for food, but for love, bhakti. So he wants to have regular installments of love offerings. So the pujaris and the worshippers, they're always cooking something wonderful, something sweet, something pungent, something to be licked, something to be chewed, something to be drunk, something. So then Nityananda said, Gadadhar, A Tandula Kariya Randan, Shri Gopinath Tere, Diya Kariba Bhojan. O Gadadhar, cook this rice for your Thakurji Gopinath, and after offering it to Gopinath, you eat it. Kariba Bhojan. Tandula Dekiyat Hase Pandit Gosai Nayane Taetamata Tandula Dekinani. On seeing that wonderful rice, Pandit Gosai laughed and said, I've never seen such rice before. Hey Tandula Gosai, Kivakunte Takiya, Jatneyani Nanchena, Gopinath Teralagiya. Because as you must know, so many ladies here, they're cooks and been cooking for years, or so many years. So many types of rice, so many textures, colors, tastes, and also fragrance. So rice has a fragrance. It can have the characteristic fragrance of grains, or have very unique fragrance even before it's cooked. So this is not only, he's saying, I've never seen such rice before. And of course, when you see an object, you have many levels of perception. If the object that you see has fragrance, then you also smell the object. A flower. You see the object called flower, and you also smell it. And then you may feel that it represents some emotion. Many things can be registered by the mind and senses when they perceive objects in the environment. So it says only that he saw it. Nayane ta'imata tandula deki nani. He had never seen such rice, but also included in seeing is also smelling. Because rice does have a very wonderful smell. And being so amazed by what he saw and what he smelled in the form of that rice offering. Now was he seeing something amazing in the externals of the offering of rice? Was he smelling something amazing in the externals of rice? Or was he perceiving something deeper which the rice represented? This is the question. Because the rice is a representation of the heart of Nityananda, who was offering that rice to Gopinath. Because when we offer something, it's not the saman, or the external object that we're offering, it's the bhav. It's the bhav, the priti, prem, pyar, the love behind it. You can see in a household, if a wife is angry with her husband, if she's serving food, she does here, puts it on the plate. If she's in mad or anger. It's her duty to cook and serve food to her husband. But she, okay, here's your food, eat. There's some, the object is being presented, but the backing, the feeling, the position of her mind and heart is not very favorable, a very good mood. If the husband angered her or displeased her in some way, and she's responding to that. Now someone who's newly married and the wife is all about making everything perfect and exactly correct for the pleasure of the husband, and please take this. So the object is being offered, so the backing, what's the mentality, the subhav and the bhav, the heart feeling behind it is so important. And that's what the person responds to and perceives. So Pandit Gosai is laughing. What's so funny about rice? Rice makes you laugh? When you look at rice, you start laughing? Do you? No. On seeing the rice, Pandit Gosai laughed. Tandula Deki, Hase Pandit. Oh, it's very funny. It's the funniest rice I've ever seen in years. Because it was carrying something in that rice that was humorous. Because Nitai is always absorbed in Hasiras. He's a sucker. He's a coward boy, Nitai Balaram. And one of the Gona rasas that the coward boys are always, children love to play and laugh. So he's always laughing. You read all through the pastimes of Nitai or Balaram. They're always telling jokes and laughing and eating and playing. Eating, playing, laughing and fighting. What else do children do? They play and they fight about playing. Oh, you cheated, why this, that, and, you didn't do it right. And so they fight, and then they eat and they laugh, and they make jokes, and they throw food to each other, and they eat from each other, and they laugh. Oh Krishna. And one boy takes his samosa, as Vishnu tells, and then he opens up a little corner and he starts putting in jasmine flowers, mogra, stuffs inside the samosa. And he kind of closes that little piece of flower, He says, Krishna, I have a very nice samosa you take. My mother made it. It's too good. I already ate 2 of them. You should take. So Krishna says, all right. Oh, inside that samosa was mogra full. Flowers were stuffed in there. And Krishna, he made this face. And he was embarrassed. And everyone was laughing. Oh, Krishna, this is very funny. What's going on? And the boy said, I put flowers in there, in that samosa. And Krishna didn't know, and he's eating it. And everyone's laughing. Then Krishna realized how ridiculous and silly it was. And he started laughing too. The Hasiras. So Pandit's laughing and said, Hey Tandula Gosai, Ki Vaikunte Dekiya Jatne Aninachena Gopinathera Lagya. Hey Nitai, you must have brought this rice for Gopinath all the way from Vaikuntha. And he was thinking that. It actually came from Vaikuntha. Lakshmi Matra E Tandula Karina Randan Krishna Sei Harabhokta Tavi Bhaktagan. In Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Devi alone, she cooks such rice for Krishna to eat. The devotees then enjoy the Narayan Prasad. Bhakta Tavi Bhaktagan. That was what Gadadhar said. Anande Tandula Prasham Sena Gadadhar Vastralaya Gela Gopinathera Gochar. After joyfully glorifying the rice in this way, Gadadhar took the cloth for offering to Gopinath. Divya Ranga Vastra Gopinathera Shriyange Dilena Dekiya Shobha Vasena Anande. Gadadhar decorated his Thakurji, Gopinath, with that beautifully colored cloth, and then he floated in ecstasy on seeing the beauty of the Lord. Dekiya Shobha Vasena Anande. Vasena means floating. Floating in bliss, when Shobha, that brilliant, attractive cloth on the body of Sriyanga, and the beautiful limbs, arms and legs and chest of Gopinath. Because the whole interplay is here, the Gadadhar is representing Radharani, and Radharani's Krishna is named Gopinath. And so she was so happy, Gadadhar was so happy to dress Krishna. Sometimes Radharani dresses Krishna, Nitya Lila. Sometimes Krishna dresses Radha. And sometimes they even dress as each other. They change dresses, and Krishna dresses like Radharani, and Radharani dresses like Krishna. And sometimes they both dress up as Krishna, Govinda Lilamrita. Krishna dresses as Krishna, and Radharani dresses as Krishna. And then they fool the gopis. The gopis come in and say, "Oh, what happened to Radharani?" And then the gopis say, "Oh no, now there's two Krishnas." And the gopis start talking, "Oh, what happened to our Radharani? How will we go back to Barsana? When we leave the kunjas and this Madhyan Leela, the afternoon, and we return all the Sakhis together, we return to Barsana, then Vrishabhanu and Kirtita, the mother and father of Radharani, Kirtita Mata, shall say, 'Oh, where's our Radharani? We sent her out with you in the morning to pick flowers for Surya Puja, and you went and you did Surya Puja and you worshipped our Ishtadev. But where's our daughter? You didn't bring her back. Every day you come back. Oh, how can we face Vrishabhanu? And how can we face Kirtita? What can we say? This is a big problem for us." And they're talking like this in front of the two Krishnas sitting in the kunja. And then they say, "Well, let's talk to them and find out." Then Lita says, "I think that Krishna, he did some vibhuti or some tantra. He did some tantra on Radharani, and then he hypnotized her, and then he somehow changed her, took away her form and turned her into himself, or somehow tinted her golden skin and made her look sham blue, like bluish colored complexion, like Krishna's, Ganasham." And they're talking back and forth, and they say, let's ask, what happened. So, are you Radha or are you Radha? Who's Radha here? So this, sometimes they even dress up as each other. And then what happens is that Krishna, to even make it more funny, one of the Krishnas are both sitting there on some kusa grass and they're meditating. And then one gopi said, "What is this? The Krishna's turned Radharani into some bogus yogi like him. Now they're both meditating." And then he says, "Oh, Radharani, what happened? One of you must be Radharani. What happened?" And then Krishna imitated the voice of Radharani. He started speaking. So, "Oh yeah, that rascal. He did some jadoo on me, and he was hypnotizing me and taking away my form and turning me into him. And then this is what happened. He just transformed me into him, and then dressed me up like him." Then the gopis said, "Well, how come you have your same voice? Because your voice should be deep like Krishna's, but it's the same high-pitched voice of a woman, and it's so delicate and beautiful." Yes. When I realized that he was hypnotizing me and turning me into, like, doing this jadoo and tantra kami, then I went like this and went, "Oh, stop." And I covered my neck. And then, because I covered my neck, he couldn't affect my neck. He couldn't affect my vocal cords. So I got blue, but I still kept my voice. It's like something like this they made up. And then they said, "Okay, that sounds good." And so this is an example that Gadadhar was Radharani in Krishna's Leela. She dressed Gopinath so beautifully that when she was done, he was floating in ecstasy to see the beauty of the Lord. Prabhupada once, there's one quotation, actually wrote a letter because someone sent some pictures that they took, some of his disciples that were pujaris in LA, and a very beautiful outfit they had made, and dressed Rukmini Dwarkadish in this outfit. And they sent some photographs to Prabhupada in India. And he wrote back a letter to the head Pujari. He said, this deities looks so beautiful with this outfit, this Vesh, Thakurji's Vesh, looks so attractive and elegant, tasteful and beautiful, that if you keep dressing and decorating a deity like this, then surely your heart will be decorated with the ornaments of love of God. So as Prabhupada Gurudev was telling that as we very tastefully and attractively decorate and adorn the form of Thakurji, Sri Murti, Bhushanam, Shringhar, Thakurji Shringhar Seva, as we do that very attentively and very artistically, then our own hearts become decorated, not with jewels or colorful Rangima Vastra, Rangima Sundara, not with beautiful, colorful cloth, but our hearts become decorated with Ranga, Prema Ranga, colored by different flavors and varieties of love of God. And then Krishna will be very happy to see that. Tabe randanera karya karite lagila, apane tara shak tulite lagila. Gadadhar started to cook, and he himself picked shak from the yard. So he went outside the temple compound. There's a big bagicha there, because tota in Oriyan language means garden. We say bagicha or garden is tota. And here tota means parrot. In Hindi you say tota, means parrot. But tota, I don't know how Hindi is. Is tota short A or long A? I don't know. Parrot is long A or short A?
Long A.
Tota. Well, the same in Bengali. Tota means garden or grove. So Bengali, it's a very... I saw a tota in the tota. I saw a tota in the tota. I saw a parrot in the garden. It's Bangala Bhasha. Tota means bagicha. So he went outside to the temple bagicha and picked some wild shak, like raipata. That Bengali lady, Ganga, picked some raipata and we offered it to Giriraj and salad. It's a wild green or whatever. Keha bone nahi daive hayache shak tahatuli aniya karila ekapak. No one had planted that shak, which is palak, I think in Hindi. It grew there naturally. This shak was picked and cooked by Gadadhar. So, nice thing to read about on Dwadasi. After fasting yesterday from rice and grains and maybe even food itself, many devotees do Nirjal Ekadas, Nirjal Brat. They don't eat anything, or if they eat, they only eat fruit, falahari. They eat fruit after sunset. This is what's told in Shastra. It actually says in Padma Puran, if one is old, invalid, crippled, weak, and severely chronically diseased, then he should not do nirjal. But after sunset, he can eat some fruits, uncooked fruits, bas. But somehow it's evolved to a little more elaborate level. So this Ekadasi, we generally kind of make it more user-friendly these days to our stomachs and have more convenient and tasty and satisfying, nourishing foods, which is well and good if you're using all that energy to spread Krishna consciousness and to chant all day long, 1 lakh or 2 lakhs. If you're simply using all that energy to fill up your belly with a sense of satisfaction and enjoyment, which pacifies the mind, that's not really the idea of Harivasara. Harivasara means to be absorbed in moment to moment in activities which gives direct pleasure to Krishna. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Of course, Pravachana is all those things in one. You can't preach unless you're doing all three at once. Yeah, you're doing Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam, otherwise you can't preach. Pravachana is actually a very high class of bhajan, if one is doing it with a transparent mind and a pure heart, filled with compassion and desire to help others. But generally, when people do pravachan, there's lots of ego mixed in, because they're neophyte and they think they're great or think I'm special. I'm like this, so, but Ekadasi is meant to be like that. At any rate, he offered all these, so he's cooking so nicely. Then he picked Tentula Brikshara Jatapatra Sukomal, Tahani Vati Taya Dila Lona Jal. Lona means salt in Bangla. That's right, you have to learn all these things when you go to Mayapur and live there, and they serve out the prasad and say, Lon? What's Lona? Salt. You say Namak, is it right? Namak. They say Lona.
Sometimes you also say a lawn. No?
No.
No, maybe you, in your last
I've
life.
I've heard
Last
this.
life you were Bengali.
I've heard this word.
Yeah, it's pretty common in ISKCON for sure. Kadadhar then picked soft, newly grown tamarind leaves, which she ground and mixed with salt water. Well, this is really sustainable boga here. He's on the banks of the Indian Ocean, the Jagannath Puri. There's plenty of salt water there. And so he's collecting salt water from there, or maybe he's adding salt. But it says lona. Lona jal means, lona means salt. It's water mixed with salt, not, because it could be called samudra jal or sindhu jal. Lona means water with salt added to it. And tamarind is just another leaf. Imli, we say imli. Imli pata. Well, that's another tree growing in the garden. And when you hear the story of Chanak Pandit, everyone from Delhi has heard of Chanakapuri. Have you heard this place, Chanakapuri? It's some part of Delhi where there's many embassies, I believe. Is it right? Yeah. And there was one Pandit that lived there, Chanakya. Chanakya Pandit. He was the Brahminical advisor to Chandragupta or something, the ruler of India, the Gupta dynasty. India was ruled by one family called Gupta dynasty. And I think his name was Chandragupta. It was about 400 or 500 years ago. You've heard Chanakya Pandit, or Chanakya Puri. It was named after him, and he lived there on the bank of the Ganga. He lived in a cow dung house with a thatched roof. And outside his house there was one tamarind tree. And he would do bhiksha, bhikshu, bhikari. He would beg food, and get a little rice, and go home and cook that rice and offer it to his shalagram, Sheila, and take some tamarind leaves and make some chutney or sabji. That's what he would eat. And he was the minister to the emperor, Chandragupta, of the Maurya dynasty, or Gupta dynasty, whatever it's called. He was a very good, understood psychologist. He understood psychology and social behavior and etiquette, many things, like a type of practical philosopher, but not really a spiritualist per se, at least his writing contribution. He was really detached, and sometimes the king, Mr. Chandragupta, Rajgupta, he would come to his house and say, please you come and take food. He said, no, the Lord has sent me this rice and tamarind, it's very tasty. That was the old days of MPs, Minister of Parliament. So he was the minister to the Prime Minister. The MP is supposed to be, what does it say in Hindi? What is this title?
Mukhyamantri.
There's the Pradhan Mantri, which is Prime Minister, is that right? So what are the MPs called? Mukhya Mantris?
No, that's the Chief Minister.
Chief Minister.
What is
Mukhyamantri is Chief Minister.
Member of Parliament.
There's no Hindi name for that.
Must be.
There's Pradhan Mantri and other mantris.
Just Mantri. What?
Little mantris. And we have the Maha Mantra. So the Maha Mantra is Mukhya Mantra, I believe so. If you chant that, you can become a king of your mind. Become the ruler of your mind. If you chant that mantra, you can become a ruler of your mind and the kingdom of your senses. And that's probably the vastest kingdom in the entire universe, is the kingdom of our senses and our mind. That's why the Hare Krishna mantra is called mantra. a mantra. Man means mind, tra means trayate, to deliver, to free, to elevate. So it's a mantra which frees the soul from the mental conception that I am the body. Every atma, every soul thinks, due to the influence of the body, which is illusion, that I am Punjabi, woman. I am a Seth. I am rich. I am poor. I am old. I am young. I am fat. I am thin. I am sick. I am well. I am foolish. I am intelligent. This is all bondage. This is the karma bandhana, the bondage of wrong action and wrong thinking. So then this mantra, Hare Krishna mantra, when we chant the mantra, it separates the Atma from the body. Because the Atma is thinking wrongly. Man means thinking. The Atma is thinking wrongly when the Atma thinks I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm Hindu, I'm Christian. This is wrong. Faltu, wrong thinking. Mithya, Mithya Chinta, false thinking. So then we chant the Maha Mantra, mantra, and then Trayate, it separates, Trayate separates, liberates, frees the mind from this misconception, wrong idea. Then we start to live in Satyam, Param Satyam Chadimahi. We start meditating and thinking and contemplating Dhimahi, the Parasatya. The Parasatya is Bhagavan, Krishna, and I am part of him. Mamevamsho Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. I am Sat, I am Sanatan, I am Sat Chit Anand. I am eternal, I never die, I simply change bodies. And I am coming from God, and I am godly, godlike, but I am not God. I am his part, I am his anksh, parcel. This is the power of the Maha Mantra. It gives us realization of our identity. So that's the Maha Mantra. So now let's read from another book here. We're going to hear about this nice feast that Gadadhar is cooking. Totally organic, totally natural, homegrown vegetables, tamarind leaves from the garden, wild spinach from the garden of Tota Gopinath. It sounds extremely attractive for those lovers